So welcome. Today's practice is going um, to prepare us for maybe not today in your life, but times in our life where we're experiencing more grief than others. And grief is a strange thing, right? It's a very slippery sort of thing. Sometimes it's super obvious. We lost a human. Other times it's losing things that we're used to, losing jobs or parts of ourselves, right? And in this process, there are definitely things to be grieving, right? Whether you're supporting or are the person who had been diagnosed with cancer or who is surviving cancer or whatever, right? Um, yeah, so there are two pieces I'm going to do. One of them is David Kessler, Kessler, and he has spoken about grief in ways that I think it's nice to share. And then we'll do a meditation called the Beam of Love meditation. And my mom has used this with us since I don't remember her not. That especially at bedtime, if we didn't grow up in the town where my grandparents were. So she called it little hearts. And she'd say, well, send your little hearts all the way. Can you see them? Are they arcing? Are they moving through the sky to get there? So Herman Rednick, Rednick, originally put it down on paper, although it's an old practice and in different ways, maybe you would have seen it. So Beam of Love meditation will work on. And one of the things I want to do today then is to use a breathing practice to get us into that relaxed state, to drop us into that parasympathetic nervous system so that we can sit more honestly with things. The tough thing is, maybe that means you want to cry, you want to scream, or brings up frustration, things that you otherwise would have covered or bottled or avoided or ignored. The nice thing about doing it in this space is you're muted and you've got your camera off, and I'm not going to know how you're reacting on the other side. But if we do it together in this frame of time that's not going to last forever, that you can return to in this practice, if you take the pieces that you remember and return to it, yeah, then it becomes something safe. It becomes something that you just, take a nibble of a little bit at a time until you're able to take bigger bites and until you're able to chew off the whole blockage or stagnation or piece of negativity in your life, if that makes any sense. Um, yeah. So let's use a breathing practice to get us there. And there are all kinds of different breathing practices we can use. And in fact, as we get more stressed out in life, there are ones we could avoid. We don't want to do ones that make our heart, that hold our breath too much if we're having cardiovascular issues or just severe changes in blood pressure from medications, from treatments, from whatever. And there are times where we just feel low energy, a little depressed. We need a little bit of arousal, and other times where we're spastic and anxious and hyper, and we need something that brings us down. So one of the ones that encourages us to be a little bit more balanced is called, one of those that encourages us to be a little bit more balanced. It's using both sides, both hemispheres of our brain, as well as both nostrils, and therefore both sides of our breath capacity, not just our respiratory system, but moving into our nervous system. There's a lot of science on a lot of things. I can't commit to the science on reaching each hemisphere or each side of your nervous system independently before crossing hemispheres. But there have been enough studies that show this works, and they can't exactly even tell you why, but they'll just say it works. So Surya Nodi Pranayama, and Nodis are it's a Sanskrit word for these channels, right? And whether the channels are nerves, the way your nervous system goes, whether they're breathing channels, whether they're the blood vessels and the way that they move. Before there was even dissections of humans and mapping that sort of stuff out, they're like, I feel like there's stuff that moves this way, and then stuff that has to go this way and this way. Nodis, Surya Nodi, alternating that patterning, right? Alternating those channels is the word that it translates as. So, nodi pranayama. Pranayama is not just breathing, but it's realizing that our breath is our life force. So get yourself comfortable, which for most of us will mean lying back or scooting back against a wall. And let's roll our shoulders just a little bit first. How many of us want to use these accessory muscles, especially if we're on the phone, if we're tightening our jaw, not feeling like we can say what we want to? Attorneys, teachers, people in customer service, right? They overuse these secondary or accessory muscles, but the real breathing capacity is from the collarbone all the way down to the floor of your pelvis. And then roll your shoulders the other way so that your heart is open. And as we work through this today, so that our heart is cleared of those things which keep it from being as bright and warm as it always intends to be. Good, and we're going to wave a little bit. You're on the ground, you could have your knees up and just wave them side to side, letting yourself create that permission to have some waving in your hips. Whether you're on your back or seated and waving your knees, if you're seated, it often feels good to just rock a little bit side to side. And then back to center, we exhale. And instead of turning your head to the right, if I say turn your head to the right, you do. But a lot of times we lead with our forehead or our nose or just our chin. What if I say turn your right ear behind you? And then can you breathe into the front of the left side of your chest? If you're on the ground, actually try to aim that ear toward the earth. Giving yourself that space and permission. As you feel all three corners of your tailbone relax, both shoulder blades retract behind you again. And we inhale to center, keeping your torso grounded. Exhale to the other side. And breathing openness in that left side. The opposite side of your collarbone as you let your left ear move back behind you. You can have that hand towel or end of a blanket rolled up under your neck. That feels better. And honestly, if you're seated, it's better to be in a high back chair or have the chair against the wall. I've got this bolster on the earth. But I want to have all three corners of my tailbone, right? So moving my flesh so I can get my tailbone, my shoulder blades, my skull open. You should take one more breath past your body into the space around you. Inhale to center. Creating that permission to let your hands come to your heart. Are you going to be in that reclined position, constructive rest, or supine pose? And what kind of supports do you need to be there? I often show something underneath your knees. This way. Chair always feels really good for me. And then I get support all the way back to the soles of my feet or the couch if I'm at home. But maybe you want to try something a little bit different today. You don't have to. I'm just giving you an option. And that would be that the soles of your feet come together and your knees fall out. Does this help to relax those muscles in your back and hips a little bit more than keeping your knees straight away? Can you breathe? And what feels more comfortable? Does it feel more comfortable to put your hands on your belly today to focus on your breath? Or does it feel better to let yourself have your hands on your chest since we're going to be focusing on our heart? As you do, allowing yourself to be 10% more comfortable. Do I need something underneath my elbows? Do I need something to smell that smells better? Do I need something to hear in the background of my voice? As you close your eyes and deepen your breath. Letting yourself be 10% more comfortable. You hear your breath come in and out. And then we use our breath to guide our connection to our calm nervous system, our rest and digest pieces. We're going to make a hang 10 with our hand, pinky finger out, thumb out. And we're going to set that in front of our face. And as we do, we're going to close off our right nostril and breathe in through the left. When you're ready to switch, you're going to use your pinky finger, close off your left nostril, breathe out through the right. Stay there to breathe in. Switch to breathe out. Relax your shoulder, tuck it under, and you need a pillow or a blanket or a towel or block underneath there. Pause to breathe in. We switch to breathe out. And that becomes our rhythm. We exhale, we inhale, then we switch. Our inner gaze lifts up toward our hairline. There are about 10% of us who need to keep our eyes open to feel more connected and safe. Stare at one spot, otherwise close your eyes, inner gaze up towards your hairline as you exhale and inhale, and then you switch sides. To where does the breath go? As you inhale, do you feel it like a ribbon being tied into a bow, making it up, across, into that opposite side of your brain? And as you exhale, coming down out that side, before you pull that up to make the other loop in the bow, inhale across hemispheres. Exhale. Inhale. Switch to exhale. Stay there to inhale. And continue. And you start to balance out the rhythm of your exhales and your inhales. Sometimes in this alternate nostril breath, we need to stop and blow our nose. One of the things it does is it softens that mucus lining. It warms our nostrils and then softens the lining in an effort to decrease inflammation, but sometimes releasing stuff that was kind of stuck on there. Yeah. So take your time.
We began with an inhale through the left. So as you exhale and inhale, when you come to exhale through the left, you'll have finished a round. When you exhale through the left, let your hands rest. And notice how you feel differently than you did. You allow your breath afterward to just be normal, rhythmic, and calm. It seems that when life is the brightest, someone is extinguished, or something in our lives is extinguished on the planet, in our human existence. When focused on the harmony of our energy within, the spirit of our energy within, life continues to be bright. Our life force is ever present. But now we're in spring. In April, we face the inevitable. They say it's taxes and death, but really it's taxes and grief, because death is often just a part of a chapter. But the upcoming and what is left, what lingers, is the grief. And David Kessler reminds us that grief is inescapable. What does grief look like in your life currently? And I bring it up now because as we come to May, or if you're listening to this at a different time of year, as we come to holiday celebrations at the end of the year and the beginning of a new, as we come to what is festive, bright, or celebratory, in concurrence, there are endings. And for some, those endings are difficult, are effortful, are permanent. Grief, it is inescapable. And what does the grief look like for you? Well, it could be a death of a loved one, loss of function for yourself, the end of a job, marriage, responsibility, be the change of a role in your life in relation to one or another. For all of us, at some point, it's fading youth. It's the grief of an unfulfilled dream. And for some of us, it is the greatest place, the greatest experience in which we feel sorrow. But grief can show up in other ways. Sorrow can be a weight within us, can be a distress. It can be melancholy, it can be sad. But grief can also move beyond emotional distress and manifest in our physical body. Have you been feeling exhaustion? Have you been recognizing a weakened immune system?
Do you have cardiovascular symptoms? Is your heart feeling broken? Blood pressure, heart rate, fluid, peripheral circulation. None of these are wrong. They're all ways in which our body, our heart, and our mind are dealing the way that we can. Each of us grieves in our own way. There's no right or wrong. Mourning is something to experience, to go through. We can't go over, or under, or around. Mourning is inevitable. Grief is inescapable. But when it lingers, when we compartmentalize or close off, avoid, deny, we need to find the tools to cope. And gratitude can help us ease that pain, enable us to move through grief, through the only way. And on the other side, we emerge with greater resilience, even if life is never quite the same again. It is gratitude that helps us surrender to our grief rather than struggling against it. Stephen Colbert had family members pass. He was the youngest of many kids, and he was at home with his mom. During his father was and brother and older brothers were people who passed, and he was at home with his mom more than the other siblings with her grief. And he says that's why he became a comedian. But he also said that while at first he denied anything in the world that is positive or good or spiritual, that eventually he realized the love, the joy that came even in grieving, because grieving together means that you have that connection, means that you have a union, means that you're both connected to something beyond you, greater than you. And it was probably put there for a reason. And when we're able to grieve, we can remember times of happiness and hope bubbles up again. We're reminded of the little things in life. We're reminded of what's really important to us individually. We come to value that which brings us happiness most often. David Kessler always reminds us in grief, the only way out of pain is through the pain. Allowing yourself to find a way to build gratitude in your life with a meditation called Beam of Love. So recognizing the foundations, connecting even to our grief by realizing that it is a shared experience and that remembering is a shared joy. We create more space for that gratitude and love in our bodies. Can you lengthen your waist? On your next inhale, let your waist lengthen, hips and ribs, given permission. And your neck be longer. The crown of your head float straight away. As you let your eyes remain soft. If you can, your eyes closed and your gaze toward your top of your forehead. If you're staring at one spot, let it be formless. Let it just be color or light. Relax your shoulders as you recognize the capacity for life force within you. Breathing in, belly rising. Breathing out, belly falling. And you draw your attention to the rising, to the falling, to the breathing. In yoga, the word, well, let's do this. In Latin, the word for spirit is spiritus. And the word for breath is spiritus. In our English language, the word for the organ that transports oxygenated blood is the heart. And the place from which we love is our heart. Belly rising, belly falling. And the place, the thing that we are doing, that breath, that breathing, in English is breathing. In Sanskrit, in this yoga tradition, is pranayama, which does not mean just breathing. It translates as prana, meaning force or energy, yama, meaning life, the life force. What are you drawing in? What are you blessed to bring? What are you grateful for in this breath? And as you breathe out, what do you surrender? Let go of? What are you grateful you can release? Belly full and easy. To allow this rhythm of breath, this evenness, the softness of pranayama, of life force to enter, and with trust to exit, knowing that you've always held on to a little bit of oxygen within. And then in a moment, your body will allow you to take in the next. Breath soft and even as the body breathes itself, as the atmosphere breathes you. Each rising, followed by a falling. Each wavelength softer, quieter. As you turn your awareness into your heart, you visualize your mother there. Bring her into the center of your heart, that image, that visualization. Visualized, imagined from your mind, but present in your heart. As you begin to see an actual heart shape pulsing from within you and beaming to and then through your mother. And you repeat this mantra: with a beam of love, I touch the heart of my mother. Can it continue, that beam from you to her? With a beam of love, I touch the heart of my mother. And it is there, heart to heart, maybe a resuscitation of what was stagnant or dim or weak. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of my mother. Letting that image, that visualization remain full of love. As you bring now to the forefront your father, visualize him, bring him to your heart center. And the mantra continues. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of my father. See a color, an energy, a flow, the pulsing from your center to your father. There is heart to heart resuscitation between you and your father. The beam of love connects us. In our interconnected web of life, as though you dialed through, making those connections. And now to other members of your family, visualizing with the energy of your mind, focus them in your heart. With the beam of love, I touch the heart of my brother or sister or cousin or aunt or uncle. To members of your family, with the beam of love, I touch the heart of my It's as though you're a fountain now of love from your center, rising, pouring out these beams of love, falling to touch the hearts of those who have created your foundation, those who have loved you and those whom you have loved. With a beam of love, I touch a member of your family, another one, new. Repeating that mantra with the beam of love, I touch the heart of my family members. And maybe you have a large family, maybe it's smaller, and you start to move on to teachers, mentors, leaders in your life. With the beam of love, I touch the heart of my teacher. And your doubt for having enough is dispelled when you realize that your presence from your heart to the hearts of others indeed continues to be rejuvenated with each breath, fulfilled. When your cup overfloweth, you continue to be able to draw from the source. And if you're having a day where you don't have enough extra love, then you stop there. But if you can, with a beam of love, I touch the heart of my named friends. Touch the heart of this friend and that friend. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of And if you have continued to build more, if you feel as though you have a continuous source of pranayama, then you could work on reaching out even to those with whom you have a negative relationship. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of enemies, severed relationships, those with whom I have conflict. With a beam of love, I touch the heart. Feeling as though you could observe the planet hovering above. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of all sentient beings. Those beams of love shine. Your heart opens and expands. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of all sentient beings. With a beam of love, I touch the heart of myself. Self-love in this human existence, and the best way to be lifted out of your suffering is through the honesty, the pain. With a beam of love, I receive love from the divine. Ready to wiggle your fingers and toes. With a beam of love, I extend my heart to touch you. There. From here, our interconnectedness grows. Roll to your side, balance your blood pressure. Breathe into your heart. Mended heart today. And you rise up into your seat, ever present in gratitude. From your heart to the hearts of others, we say, Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again next Monday.
Okay, I enjoyed. Take
Thanks.
care. Bye.
Until then, bye.
Take care.
Thank you.